Action. Right. Hi, everybody. This is Ross Newman, and Ross is my guest today. And we're going to be talking about ADHD and kind of the late diagnosed men over 35, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Firstly, thank you, Darren, for having me on. Yeah, kind of that men in the 30s to 40s bracket, primarily. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What's your world like at the moment?
So very quickly about me. So I'm 37. Am I? Yeah. I was diagnosed with ADHD April last year at 36, from a small town in the West Midlands. Married, 2 kids, dog, house. My day job is I work in the tech industry as a product manager. So essentially my job is kind of devising product strategy for tech and e-commerce brands.
Okay.
So I've been in the tech industry for 12, 13 years now. Started my career at Microsoft and been at a few of the big brands, Jaguar Land Rover, Halfords.
Awesome.
Worked on the Weatherspoons app. Lived out in New Zealand for a while, where I worked for New Zealand's biggest digital media company. And aside from that, I am writing a book at the moment, which is called Same Shit Different Day, which is all about how men in similar situations to us kind of get trapped by societal expectations and how that links with ADHD, and using what I know on how the big tech companies create a vision, taking what they do to help men create a vision for their life, which ultimately will then help them. I'm a big believer in, if you know where you're going, it doesn't kind of matter how fast you're going to get there, you're going to get there. And there's a lot of data that supports men struggling with anxiety, depression, affairs, worst case scenarios to suicide, in your 30s and 40s being the highest rate. And there's a lot of data to support that. That's because we just get lost. We've been told what to do our entire lives. We spoke just before we started in that sense of, you're born, you're told to go to school, so you do that. You're told to get a job, you do that. You're told to get a partner, you do that. You get married, house, car, kids, debt, holidays. But then at that 35 to 40 age bracket, you're not told what to do anymore. But no one's told you how to work out for yourself what to do. Yeah,
that's true.
And I think that's where we're losing our self-identity a little bit, particularly in the men's. And it's quite funny, a lot of the content I do online, I am at men, and I can promise you now, everyone I get a comment, somebody saying, what about women? I'm not dismissing women. It's not, there's some amazing people in the women's ADHD space. I was with one yesterday, incredible people. I don't think there's enough voices for men, particularly of similar age to you and I, in that space. So we'll get a bit more into the story, no doubt, shortly, but because of some of my experiences, I just really want to help men similar to you and I in any way that I can.
That's good. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think there's a lot of, I think mainly the talk is always younger boys.
Yeah.
And the girls are getting missed out, and the women are getting missed out, and the older men are getting missed out. I mean, we can get him diagnosed as an adult. We've only been diagnosed since 2008, I believe it is.
2009, yeah.
2009, yeah. So it's it's fairly recent.
Yeah, it's brand new.
Yes, which is shocking. I think I read it was like early 19th century, 1901, 1902. The signs and symptoms of what we now call ADHD were first talked about, but here we are, not long after in the 2000s, and it's like, hey, they may or may not have it, and it's still rubbish talk. I was looking at your TikTok, was it today, yesterday, whatever like that, and so there's a couple of comments on there that I just like, really.
It's the world of the internet, though, right?
Yeah.
And there was a couple of times where I was going to respond, and my wife's like, "Don't bother," like, and she's right. It's not worth the energy. It really isn't.
Yeah,
and
this is true.
You can't please all of the people all of the time. And do you know what? Being very honest, I think getting diagnosed later on, like I said, I was diagnosed at 36. There's still times where I question, have I really got it? Is it real? So if I am doing that as somebody with a diagnosis and someone who's very comfortable with openly speaking about it, there's bound to people who question it, right? Because all of a sudden it's in every newspaper, on every radio station, on every TV program. It's so there's so many questions people have now with the mainstream media. People, we live in a world where nobody knows what to believe anymore. So there's always going to be people who then. I can remember the very first video I did on social media about it was me taking my medication for the first time.
Yeah.
And one of the very first comments I had was somebody I know saying, "What the effing hell are you taking that for? I know someone who took it, it ruined their life, yada, yada, yada." Now, I know that person had my best interests in heart, but maybe that was why I'm not so fussed about what people say now. If the first one was that, well, it kind of sets the tone. But, you know, I'm not there to preach. I'm there to just tell my story and how I find things. If people resonate with that, great. If people think I'm an idiot, fine. Like, it's bothering them more than it's bothering me. And if they've got the time to do it, well, good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that people, come out with that sort of stuff. But I mean, you're right. You're telling your story, and this is all about. This is what you've gone through. This is what you've seen, and that's the main thing. Same with myself. I just talk about what I've gone through, and you're right. I mean, I've questioned this. I can't honestly say that this is happening to me. This is happening to me. All the different things under the umbrella of that can go with ADHD. I have to work it out. I can't just, oh yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that. I have to really think and analyze everything before I can say, okay, yes, that is definitely me. Yes, RSD, definitely me.
Yeah, me too.
I've just come to understand that I do a lot of verbal stimming, which I didn't think I did.
Okay.
But I found myself at work doing it. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. And I kept on doing it. And every day I was like, why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? And I realized it was when I was quite anxious.
Yeah.
I was either doing it verbally or I was, just tapping on the desk. It's just, so I have to live it and analyze everything before I can say, okay, yes, I do that as well. I'm not someone who can just dump it all in. But the attention, that's the main thing. That was obvious right from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's one of the things
really hard
for me too. It was a big reason for me getting diagnosed, actually. I didn't get diagnosed for me. I got diagnosed mainly for my wife and kids, because I could see the impact of my behaviour on them. They're my world. My wife and my two kids are everything to me. And so back in 2017, I've always suffered with my temper, and now I know that comes a lot from RSD. And things like that, the emotional dysregulation as well. And I'm lucky I've never been violent, but the smallest thing, bang, and I've gone, I'll throw things, I'll kick things, whatever it is. And back in 2017, I put that down to anxiety, anger issues. So went and saw the doctor then with my wife, and I've been medicated for that since then. And there was improvement, but still also something wasn't right. And I'll never forget my diagnosis in the session with the psychiatrist. My wife was in the session with me. And this is a big thing, I think, that a lot of people don't realise as well, particularly when there's these people leaving comments. The impact on the people closest to you. It's not just about you. So, prime example. So when I was told, look, I think his words were something like, we don't even need to have a discussion about this. You've got combined ADHD. I felt relief at that very instant when I was told. I felt relief. I was like, oh, at least we know.
Yeah.
my wife burst into tears. And her exact words were, "I hoped you were just a twat." And what it was for her was she just thought I was lazy and I didn't help out around the house. And she hoped that at some point I'd start to do it. And this was this big realization for her that, hold up, so he doesn't do it on purpose. I don't think she ever thought I did it on purpose, but he doesn't do it because he's lazy. He doesn't do it because his brain just doesn't think to. And that's not going to change. And it was that really, so for me, it was the realization of, oh, okay, this explains a few things. For her, it was oh my God, it explains things. And I don't think there's a lot of enough spoken about that as well, the impact that it has, positively and negatively, on those around you. So the big reason for me getting diagnosed, there's kind of a couple of parts to it. So, I mean, this time last year, I had a breakdown. So this time last year, we were living in Auckland, New Zealand. That was our dream. So we emigrated the end of October 2022. That was our big dream, 6-7 year dream. We made it happen and we went over. If you looked at our life on paper, we've got a house, $2.4 million, beach in the street, had a great job, wife didn't have to work, kids went to great schools, went out to go in the office, I got the ferry to work. You know, like it was literally tick, 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 everything that we wanted it to be. And so I hadn't been diagnosed at this point. And then, unfortunately, my father-in-law suffered with alcoholism. And he was very, like all of our parents were very upset at us leaving. You can see, I mean, I'm an only child, so it was a big burden on me anyway. But my oldest son and his granddad, particularly on my wife's side, were extremely close. And when he'd had a drink, he obviously started drinking heavily again after we'd left, and he'd ring my grandson up, and not feeling guilty, but we missed him. And one day, my oldest son said, "Dad, if he dies when we're here, I'll never forgive myself." And the pressure that will put on me, of that realization, the hurt of everybody we'd left behind, I couldn't cope with. So I had a breakdown this time last year, and after 5 months, we were back in the UK, and at 36, we'd lost everything. We were back living with my mother-in-law, no money. I had to remortgage our house because we had to start again, from potato peeler to bed sheets to car to towel and everything in between. For the second time in 5 months, we had to completely start again. And it was at that moment as well, because of the breakdown, I was like looking for answers. And my 4-year-old, he's 4 now, at the time he was 3, I've thought there was always something, in inverted commas, different about him. But he was born with a lifelong health condition called Hirschsprung's disease, which meant he was born with a paralysed bowel. But I always thought there was something. He's a million miles an hour, 1,000,000% of the time. He knows his own mind. There's no shifting from it, but also emotionally. So, for example, when I take him to school, if there's a teacher he likes on the door greeting the kids in, he's fine. If there's one he doesn't recognise, he will tell them that they can't look at him, and he won't go in until they've turned around and they're not looking. And then so I start doing research into things, and then you start to say there's a lot of things that point to ADHD being hereditary, and then you start to go, well, I do some of these things, talk to your wife about it, and I had loads of little signs when you look back, like I'd never finish the washing up, ever. Like there'd be 2 cups left. I'd probably maybe need to change the water, and I'd just go, forget it, I'll do them tomorrow. It took me 2 years to paint the garden fence once, and that's a running joke in our household, that one. But all of those things combined led me then to go and get my diagnosis.
I think it's got to be the same for a lot of people. My story's different, but the reasons are, again, family. If I was single, living on my own, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. I'll be, in the same position I was before.
Yeah, same.
But our son is neurotypical as well. He's ADHD and autistic, and I struggle. I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Okay.
And have been since he's like 4 months old. So there's a lot of things going on, and as you got older, he has quite a I guess problematic profile of autism. But I struggled with a lot of things, and a lot of things he was doing was sort of triggering me. Emotionally, everything. I mean, I used to be quite laid back in my head. Everything was internalized with me previously. Everything was all internalized. But I just couldn't cope. Struggled so much. Ended up going to therapy about it. The usual antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs. Classic pre-ADHD diagnosis.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Yeah. So and that was, those things were okay. Took the sting out of it, but nothing didn't really change my world or anything like that at all. And did a lot of research to try and help our son as much as possible. And we got him diagnosed autistic, and then we're looking at ADHD. I was looking at a lot of things, thinking, I'm ticking a lot of boxes here as well. And a lot of it explains everything, and it never even crossed my mind before. And we got diagnosed, assessed the not same day. I got assessed on a Monday. He got assessed on the Tuesday at the same place. Luckily, we went private because he's still on the waiting list to get tested from until he's retired. So it's it was one of those things like, when she told me, I was like, thank you. I'm predominantly inattentive.
Okay.
But it explains everything. People saying to me, "Oh, label, you don't want a label." I'm like, fine, if that's a label, fine, but it's a better label than being told I'm not good enough.
Yes. Yeah. The whole label thing is, you're always labelled as something fat, full, fat, thin, short, tall, dark haired, light haired. It's just a different one. And I think you should be extremely proud of what you do, because, particularly as us men, it's not easy to, one, accept it, and then two, be very open with it. Like the first thing I did, well, not the very first, but next day I told everybody at work, including my manager, I wasn't afraid. I'm that kind of I'm a bit of a Ron Seal kind of guy. Nobody says Ross is all right. You either like me or you don't, and I'm kind of okay with that, right? And so for work, for me, it's like, will you live, accept me, or you won't. I'll live and stay, or you'll tell me it's a problem, and I'll go get another job. I'm not somebody who hides behind the type of character I am. I know my flaws, most of them, and that's. But I also, the more you research into ADHD, the more you can link things like that. So, for example, I have inadvertently upset so many people in my life. Never from a malicious point of view. Just sometimes I just don't have a filter.
Yeah.
And I say things that are meant in a good way, and often not. And you start to see how these things can also be part of it. And the one thing I always felt before I even knew ADHD was, I always felt like I thought differently to everybody I knew. And I never really felt like I fitted in, whether that was at school, at work, or even with my social groups, my mates and stuff. I was always just slightly on the outside, and I always thought that I thought about things differently to pretty much anybody I had any kind of meaningful conversations with. And I still do now, if I'm being very honest. I still, you should see how I play Pictionary. It's another running joke. I remember there's one famous one I had to draw a sheet, like a bed sheet. And I thought this was genius. I still get ridiculed for it today. So my mind went, right, draw a stick man going shh for shh. And then I drew a thermometer with the temperature high, shh, and heat, sheet. Like, I was like, I just couldn't understand why nobody else could understand how genius this articulation I'd done on paper. And whereas everyone else was just draw a sheet. But I mean, real things like that, and it's funny, and I'm happy to laugh at myself about these things as well, because you've got to laugh about. I did a TikTok the other day when I was sat on the toilet, and I was like, "If you're a bloke there, actually, sat on the toilet watching this like me. This is your little note to say you've been sat there 20 minutes too long. Get off." Because, like, I am quite serious a lot of the time. And because it is quite a serious subject, but again, so much of it is so much content that you see is the serious and the negative side. That yes, we've got to talk about it. We've got to, but also there is a lot of things that are, let's say, positive about having ADHD in terms of the world does need people who think differently. Like my degree and stuff was in advertising. Always being quite creative, and then you can kind of link those things back. And a lot of comedians, my favourite comedian, Welsh guy called Rod Gilbert, he's openly said before that he's got ADHD, and because we do think differently, so we need to utilise those things like humour and skills of creativity. And there's a lot of talk about you got diagnosed on TikTok because it's so popular, but maybe that's because we're creative and we're just good at getting our message across about something, right? You're moaning that a load of people who have a inverted commas condition, I never really know what the right term is, but something that means that we probably have more not more creative, that's an unfair term, but because we think differently, we're perceived to be more creative. Well, then probably is that we're going to be doing a lot of creative things on the web because that's what we're bored with. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, people with too much time on their hands.
There's a lot of rubbish on social media. So why not just give something that's actually real and people can relate to? That's fine. You know what I mean? We need more of that than some of the rubbish we see.
My whole thing's always been, if I only ever have one follower, if I only ever have one person that buys the book when it gets released, if it helps that one person, I've made a difference. And that's that.
Job done.
And I just try and be the person that I would have liked to have had at this time in my life last year when it all started to fall apart and then come together for me. And that's it. That's it, really.
Yeah. That's all you can hope for. That's all you can try and do. I started the podcast purely and utterly for therapy for me. Because when I just had the depression, anxiety, I struggled to talk about that. Because if anyone asked why, I have no answers. And I'm the sort of person I need to have answers, and I couldn't. RSD. I did try to tell my wife at one point how I am affected by certain things in life people do or don't do, and how, but without any answers and without any proper terminology, correct terminology, it just sounds stupid when you're trying to explain it. Someone looks at me the wrong way, and I'm like, oh, it's really difficult. But when I've got the answers, as in the diagnosis, everything makes sense, and I now feel really comfortable to talk about everything.
That's amazing. That really is, and then you're helping people. That's the thing, because there will be somebody, hopefully, listening to this who's just listened to every word that you've said and said, "Oh, I feel like that." But now I know that I can get to a point where I can talk about it because Darren's just said so. And that's amazing. And that doesn't matter if that's one people or a million.
I don't care how many people who listen. That you probably only get. My mum, I know, is going to listen to the recording of this. I know that, but so
Yeah,
you'll at least have one person that's going to
my
see
mum.
this. uh,
But do you know what, like you say, it is a form of therapy though, because ultimately,
yeah,
even if it's just you and I who ever listen to this, we're helping each other. We're just having two
yeah.
blokes having a conversation about something we have in common, and hopefully we say something to each other that goes, yeah, oh, yeah, I've had that, and this has affected me. And have you thought about doing this or whatever that is? So even if it's only ever you and I that listen to it, it's
So be it. Yeah,
helpful for you and I, and that's all that
yeah,
matters. Honestly,
yeah.
that is all that matters. And you, again, I think you learn that as you say, and what we touched upon earlier, when it's things like depression and anxiety, why me? Right? Why do I feel like this? And go back to what you said earlier. On paper, the classic 2.4 children family. You've got a job on reasonable money. You've got a house, car, 2 kids, nice partner. You go on holiday a couple of times a year. There's a lot of people who rip their arm off to
Yeah,
have your life, and that makes you feel even worse
yeah,
because
yeah.
you sit there going, "Well, I shouldn't feel like this." Um, and again, for me though, that's a societal thing because you're often, for example, I don't know, let's say your dreams to be a millionaire, but you're from a working class background. There'll be someone in your family that says, yeah, but we don't come from money, we don't have money, it's not our thing. And whether you're told that at 5, 10, 15, 20, 40,
Yeah,
those little things that are said make you believe you can't do it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so then you feel lost in that space of, well, like we said, I've done everything I've been told. Now what I've been told, I can't be a millionaire, or I can't be a astronaut, whatever it is, the dream you had as a kid. I mean, mine was to be a bin man, but yeah, I still could probably do that, to be fair. But we lose that in a child. We let go of our
yeah,
dreams because we go, oh, we've got a mortgage to pay for. I know, as or I'd love to be a lawyer, but it's going to take me 5 years. It's too much time. I can't be bothered. But that 5 years passes, whether you do the thing or not. And you get to that 5 years later and go, I wish I'd done it 5 years ago. I can't do
yeah.
it now. I should
Absolutely.
have done it then. And
Yeah,
again, I really believe that's what puts a lot of men like us who have experienced anxiety and depression. I honestly believe a lot of it stems from that. You just hit a point and you just go, well, now what do I do? I've done the things I was told. Now what? And then you go looking for answers. And I believe that's why there is such a rise in things like ADHD, because people are now looking for the answers. Whereas
yeah,
before, you probably just go the old phrase of man up and,
yeah.
and try and get through it.
It's a tough one. It's just when you're older. It's not on anyone's radar kind of thing. When little kids, especially young boys, are like running around and stuff like that, it's like the first thing people say, "Ooh, ADHD, maybe." But for anyone else, it's like, no, it's not. It's not even close to being on the radar.
Yeah.
But like I say, answers are a big thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Um, and there's, I think over the next few years, we'll find out a lot more. I
yeah,
met an amazing guy called Alex yesterday. Um, and he's got ADHD, and he's a, can't remember exactly what his title is, some scientist to do with food. Um, and way smarter than I could ever dream of being. I mean, he went to Harrow High School, right? So, but anyway, super nice, super smart guy, and he's releasing some products at the moment where, so he's against the pharmaceutical medical route, but his
yeah,
background is in medical sciences, and he's a big believer in kind of herbs and natural resources, and he's releasing a product line of chocolate aimed at people with neurodiversity issues such as ADHD, like himself, and he's got it scientifically proven that this chocolate it gives you focus within 15 minutes, and it's all using natural things from the earth. And so there's going to be some super smart people like him that are going to uncover more and more things that either relate to the why or relate to the how things can
Yeah,
be
that's
improved.
good.
Um,
That's what we need.
oh yeah,
That's what we.
amazing.
Because there's not a lot of. I mean, 'cause, yeah, I'm on medication as well. As
Yeah,
said from the start of the journey of the possibility of being ADHD. Because I need the changes. I need the help now. So yeah, let's go medication. Because there isn't anything else except for
yeah.
therapy, and just for me, therapy is going to take too long. I need meds. But if you've got other things with less side effects and or whatever that can help just as well, or even just to help a bit. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's
And
let's
as you
bring it.
said
Let's have
earlier,
it.
in a world where it takes so long to get diagnosed, where it's hard to get medication, people are looking for other alternatives that can be beneficial. Not to say that these things are a replacement for medication, or I'm not scientifically behind it, but anything that can help people. Which meds do you take, if you don't mind me asking?
Methylphenidate XL. So the quick release
Ah, okay.
30 milligrams 3 times a day.
Okay.
So
I'm on Lix, what's known as Elvans, so the other one, the slow release.
Elvens. Okay.
Yeah, I've tried the other one. It didn't get on with me. It made my it stopped the blood getting to my fingers and my toes, and they were like ice. Honestly,
Really?
like freezing. I've been holding a cup of ice, and I've had heart surgery as well. So I had heart surgery at 31. Um, so I had to go through a lot of things in my cardiologist about being able to get medication.
Yeah.
But I've got what's called Wolff-Parkinson's White syndrome, which is a electrical pathway blockage, and so my heart was actually burnt away. So my operation wasn't for like heart failure or anything. My heart is now what it should have been.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what they're saying is I don't have a heart problem anymore. My heart problem was resolved, which
Right.
allowed me then
That's
to
good.
take the medication. But it gave me like pins and needles in my chest and stuff, the quick release one. So I only had it because of the shortage of Elvans. And so I mean, in the last few months, I've been on Elvans, on the quick release one, on nothing, and then back on Elvans. And it plays
Yes.
like that's tough. And I notice if I miss a day of my meds, I am fed up. Is probably the best word.
Yeah.
Like it makes me feel really low. I'm grumpy. And that's been the biggest thing for me with the meds. It's not like I take this magic pill and I can sit and do 8 hours of work a day. I can still do all of my days work in 1 hour, 2 hours some days, but it's not like I could just sit there and focus for 8 hours. I can't. It hasn't. And I thought that's what I was going to get, actually. I thought it was going to be like, right, I'll take this and then I'll be getting all the jobs I've done around the house. I'll do all my work. And yes, it wasn't like that. The big impact for me is it has made me calmer. My temper's better, for sure. It has helped me recognise jobs around the house that need doing, so I do help out more. And it has calmed down my mood swings. That's the
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
They're the positive things I've had from it, and as I say, that's why I think my temperament and stuff is so different if I don't have it for the day. I'm still very conflicted about taking meds, if I'm very honest. I don't want to be on them forever. I could sit here
Yeah.
and say that comfortably.
Yeah.
It's
It's finding
I
where
think
it
it's a very difficult
belongs.
one.
It's finding where it belongs in your life. I think this is the reason why I went on the show. My son is on a day day release thing, so
Yeah.
came through school basically. But I went for the short release, sorry, because I wanted to see if I could direct it in certain areas. Like I know I will take them first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Stay at home dad, getting son ready for school. Yeah, I take it first in the morning. I don't necessarily need to take it at lunchtime. If I'm on my own, do think I don't have to take it. And then if I do work, I work 3 days a week. When I go to work, I'll take it then as well. So I don't have to take every single dose.
Yeah.
I could just put it where I need it. I know I need it every single morning. And then everything else is just whenever. But it's how it works, how it fits into your life. You know,
and again, for me, the deciding factor was, well, if it helps my home life, I'll do it. That's it. Kids and wife first, without a doubt, and it has improved that. I can't deny. And again, if I was a single bloke on my own, I wouldn't have got diagnosed, and I wouldn't have had meds. And I mean, that's another one. I don't know whether you feel this. Some days I really wish I'd never found it. Honestly, I wish I'd never found it. Because some days, I guess because I produce content about it and I want to help people, some days I feel then like it consumes me. And it becomes a big, like, I remember right at the beginning as well, when I got, again, maybe this is getting diagnosed a little bit older. I was like, who am I? Am I now this changed person because of medications? Is this the person that I would have been? I think a lot of people do this. It's like, what would my life have been like if I'd have got medicated? Look, I'm diagnosed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And you start questioning, like, would I have made this decision? Again, one of the telltale signs I have, I've only ever had my longest time in a job is 3 years. I change all the time. Every 2 years normally I'm done. I've had enough. Or I'm on to the next one. I mean, so many, the amount of thousands of pounds I've spent on hobbies, from producing music to gardening. What else have I spent stupid money on? Golf, cricket. And I was like, again, with that thing of, what do we call it, where we just spend money quite easily.
Impulse spending.
Impulsive spending, yeah. So I'm that kind of person. When I get the new hobby, I'm buying the best stuff. So it's like I'm having the best golf club, the best cricket bat. I'm having the best music producing equipment. I'll spend £2,000 on a music production course. And this is something that's always interested me. So there's a lot of talk about addiction with ADHD. Now, I've never taken drugs, and I don't drink. I have drank, but I don't drink anymore. I wouldn't say I'm completely teetotal in the sense of, I won't say I'll never have a drink again. I was never a big drinker anyway. But I couldn't tell you the last time I had a drink, put it that way. It just doesn't interest me. And so I was thinking about this the other day. I was journaling, actually, and I was thinking about, I think I must have seen a piece of content to ADHD and addiction, or spoken to somebody. And I was like, I've never been addicted. And I've always felt like I'm quite against things that could become addictive. I remember once when I was a kid, one of my friends tried to make, a lot of my friends smoked weed like you do when you're teenage boys, and one of the lads tried to force me, just punched him in the face. And again, like, I was different. And then I've really started thinking, and I was like, no, I am addicted. So my phone, for example, I am truly addicted to my phone. It's disgusting. And that has a huge impact on my home life. And the other thing I'm addicted to is the chase. So
are we talking about a program, or are we talking about
no. Take New Zealand, for example. It was everything in our life for 6-7 years. And I fully consumed myself from everything, from listening to New Zealand news podcasts to, we knew exactly where we were going to live and everything before we got there. We had been before, so it wasn't blind, but we knew everything. I knew about the New Zealand housing market. I consumed myself in New Zealand. And I do wonder sometimes whether actually, once we got there, was it the ADHD? It was like, right, what's next? I'd done the thing,
Yeah.
and actually my addiction's to the chase, and that's like with the music. I wanted to release a record, done it, next. There were certain things I wanted to do. Cricket, done, next. And now I've got some business things that I want to do, and that I'm in the process of doing. And because I don't know about you, but I struggle to conform quite a lot. I struggle with authority,
Okay.
and so I've always thought that I'd like to work for myself at some point and just be answering to myself. But my wife's always like, well, what's the next thing going to be? She's like, I'm really lucky. My wife's always very supportive of what I do, but she's always like, is this going to be the thing? I don't know. Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I've realised I'm addicted to chasing. I have to have something to be chasing. If not, I can't. My mind can't cope. I have to have something to be going for, whether that's money, status, moving to New Zealand, releasing a record. I coach a kids' football teams, whether it's that being successful. I have to have something just for me that I'm going after, and I'll always find something.
I guess. I mean, do you think that's chasing the I guess the dopamine fix, so to speak?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I'm always like, I have to have something. I have to have something I'm trying to achieve, and I won't stop until I've got it. But everything I've done so far, once I've got it, the feeling isn't what I thought it was going to be. And so then I'm on to the next.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Right, as soon as everything happened in New Zealand, I was like, right, I want to buy a house in Spain. That was it then. I was like, okay, I'm going to work out how to do that one day. Whether I do or not, I don't know, but who knows ADHD, but and I realised that I am addicted to things, just not the things that, and again, people associate addiction with basically drugs, alcohol, gambling.
Yeah.
But actually, there's a lot of people, it may be like I, with ADHD, didn't realise there was actual things that I'm not addicted to, because it's not spoken about in the same light as being addicted to something like alcohol. But that addiction to the chase consumes my mind morning, noon, and night, and that is exhausting at times.
Yes, that's key word. Exhausting.
Yeah, because my mind is shattered, absolutely shattered. Like, I don't know about you, but let's say my wife and I have an argument. As soon as that argument's done, I have to go to bed. That could be the argument's first thing in the morning or last thing at night. I'm in bed for the rest of the day. Not because I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm an honest guy. If I've messed up in my relationship, I'm the first to say sorry. But it's so exhausting for my mind.
Yeah.
That once that's done, even with kids' football, if we've got a big game, I'm up all night on the Friday thinking about it. In the morning, I'm so hyper focused into it. As soon as that match is done, you can write the rest of Saturday off. I am exhausted. Like, I am good for nothing. And I think that's another thing that people don't understand. Like this exhaustion start of it. Oh, you haven't really done anything. No, but my mind has. My mind has thought of more things than you can ever imagine. Whether that's, I'm going to build a donkey rescue sanctuary in God knows where, or something as stupid as you're worried about something at work. Our minds are busy.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that people can't see. Yeah, that's the bit that people can't see.
I used to say to my wife, I used to, and I still do now, I said, you know what, she might have a certain look on her face. So what are you thinking? She goes, nothing. And I used to think, okay, you're holding back. You know what I mean? You're not telling me the truth and all that. And now I find out, now with all this, it's like she actually isn't thinking of anything, and that's normal for people not to think anything. I'm like, how could you not think of anything? I'm thinking of everything
You know what?
all the time.
That's a massive light bulb moment for me.
Yeah,
I'd never realised that. I'm always
that's
saying to my wife, "What are you thinking about?" She'll say nothing. You can't think of nothing. Like, you cannot sit there and like there's just nothing
yeah,
going on. And I've never realised it until you just said
yeah. And
that.
she said the other day that if I'm thinking of something, it's literally the thing I'm looking at that time, which it
Yeah,
might have been, it's a pillow or it's a door handle or it's nothing else is
yeah.
going on in my head. I'm like, oh man, I wish I had your head. I wish. I wish.
That is like, I can't explain the light bulb that's just gone off in my mind. That's gone. Of course, she's like. I just thought that was my wife being a difficult woman, if I was being honest. But yeah, you're right. Like, again, and vice versa, and that will kind of come back in a circle in that sense of a lot of people don't think about the impact that it has on the people closest to you.
Yeah.
It must be dead annoying for us going, "What's up with you?" Every 5 minutes, you're thinking about nothing. Yeah, you are. That seems very small, but actually, like, if you've been with your partner 10, 20 years and they'd put up with that for that, it must be draining.
Yeah.
For a
Yeah.
stop asking. That's what my wife just stop asking me. Yeah, but it's that notion that because we're always thinking, we can't. That has never clicked in my brain until this conversation. It's yeah.
It's not. I think that's the hardest thing for me to understand someone else's point of view, I guess, because at no point in my life have I ever had that.
Yeah.
I've had a bad knee. I've had a bad back. I don't have them now, but I can understand someone's got them.
Yeah.
I've been angry. I've been sad, but I'm not now. But I can understand. But the whole not thinking of anything, I know it's real. I'll be told it's real, but
never thought. But honestly, my mind's got blown. Thanks, you've got me up all night now thinking about it. That's the thing I'm not switching off about tonight. I'm apologising to my wife for the next 3 hours. But no, that is a big thing, because again, I mentioned for me, I felt like I've always struggled with authority, because I think I mentioned earlier as well, I struggle when people don't see things the same way I do. And of course, that's the same the other way around, right? People get frustrated when I don't see things the same way they do. And I think that's part of it as well, but then realising that they just don't think at all. Sometimes it's like with authority, I can't accept stupid rules. I can't think of one now, but if there's a rule that I think is just absolutely pointless and it's just there for pointless sake, I really should. And I have this thing in my mind, I've just got to break that rule because I can't get my head around why there'd be a rule so silly. There'll be countless ones of like kids' schools and stuff. It's just like, why? Why?
It's got to make sense. It's got to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel maybe that's another thing with our brain, because we think differently, doesn't make sense to. And now you maybe think, actually, does it make sense then to everybody else? And that's why it is a rule. And it's just me, guys, it's stupid. So I think that's another thing as well with ADHD, and where I worry about if my son has got it, the education system. In a sense of, I find it very weird. Like, prime example, when you go to school, you're taught to sit down, be quiet, cover your answers, no conforming with other people, come up with it yourself. The second you go into most workplaces, work as a team, collaborate, work out together how to get it done. Well, hold on, I've spent the last 16 years being told not to do that. And I did terribly at school. I think I got like 3 GCSEs, but I have got a first class degree. And I think there was 2 big differences in it for me. One, with my degree, it was something I really wanted to do, and I was determined to do well in it. Plus the fact I lied to get into uni. So I thought, now I've lied to get in, I best do all right. Yeah, well, I'd got 3 GCSEs and no A levels, and no unis would take me. And on my last shot, I just said I had got some things I hadn't got. And I remember I got asked to go in and prove my grades. And so I took my grades with me that I had got, even knowing they weren't good enough. I was like, well, I've come this far. Let's just see what happens. I remember I went into this admin office. You got your grades? Yeah, there they are. Oh, yeah, perfect, thanks. Seen them, that'll do. They never even looked at them. And from that moment then, at the time, I didn't go to uni until I was 21. And this was around 2008, financial crash. And I worked in a factory at the time making parts for JCB. And I got into uni. And if I hadn't have done that, I'd have been a 21, 22-year-old laid off factory worker with 3 GCSEs. And I ended up with a first-class degree in marketing and advertising and a job at Microsoft. And so it completely changed my life. So again, when you come back to us thinking differently, being able to think outside the box and that hyper focus, I'm going to uni. No one's going to stop me going to uni. And that's, I think, how our brains, again, it was like, I'm doing it. And that's that. And but I think the other big difference was like GCSEs and stuff for exams. And exams for me are just a test of memory. And let's be honest, we haven't got the best of memories. Right?
Right.
My degree is, my degree, I didn't have exams. It was all coursework based and a dissertation.
Awesome.
Asked me to sit there under pressure and write 2,500 words. Yeah, no bother. Say my brain works. I'm not going to do it until the absolute last minute because I need the pressure, and I only have 2 times, now and not now. And so until it's now, I'm not going to do it. But when it's now, I will do it. But because it was all coursework based and it wasn't a test of my memory, it was a test of just how good I could articulate my thoughts in as much time or as little time as I needed. I think that played a big part as well. And I think that sense of education, there's so many more children being diagnosed with neurodivergent issues. I don't understand why the education system's not being revisited. I mean, I've got a 14-year-old son who's in high school, and I can tell you it's no different from when I was there. They learn the same things the same way. Some of the same teachers are at these schools, and you think about how much the world has moved on and how much more we are aware of mental health issues in both adults and children, ADHD, autism, all these things. But you're still graded the same way because actually that's how the school gets funded. Something fundamentally wrong there. When you're curbing strengths of creative people because the system says that you've got to pass an exam to be clever. There's something fundamentally wrong. You look at some of the entrepreneurs in the world who do have ADHD, from your modern ones like your Stephen Bartlett's to your the guy who started IKEA, your Michael Phelps is from the sports world, and so on and so forth. You can't tell me that they're not clever. You can't. You just can't. Stephen Bartlett, for example, is one of the most articulate people in the world. He articulates things incredibly, he's super successful, right? So why are we restricting the minds of younger people like that to go, no, you need to know how many wives Henry VIII had, and you need to know Pythagoras' theory, because that's what the curriculum says. And and I worry for my younger son in that sense, particularly if he has got something like ADHD, because it's not, the system's not made for people who think differently. It's made to make everybody think the same, actually.
Yeah. Our son's 8.
Oh, okay.
And I won't go into everything that we're going through. but it's like it would just be nice if the teachers themselves fought the fight for us as well, rather than just going along with what they've been told they have to do. Because as parents, you battle.
Yes.
You battle to get heard. You battle for everything for your child. And I say this is, to anyone, if they've got a child who's neurodivergent or struggling, whatever at school, whoever shouts the loudest gets heard. Whoever shouts, keep shouting.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's something else I fundamentally disagree with. I know you mentioned, same as me, that you were diagnosed privately. We're lucky. Let's be honest, we're lucky.
Yeah.
We're lucky that we can financially do that. I have no problem getting meds. None. I can't get a shared care agreement because the NHS keeps saying to me that my area, you can't get a shared care agreement because there's a shortage of meds. There isn't where I live. I can get my meds no problem every month. I pay £110 a month for the pleasure, and I'm very fortunate that I can. But this whole notion of, I know there is shortages, right? I know because there are a lot of people struggling, and that's fine. But where I live, I've had one problem getting them, and that was actually because my psychiatrist said there's a shortage, you need to have these ones. I hadn't tried to get my Elvans. So it's not that I couldn't find any, I had to change. I was just told there's a shortage, you need to try these ones. But I have never had a problem getting my meds. Not once. So again, there are people being told, can't get your meds on the NHS where I live because there's a shortage. But because I'm paying money, I could go. Because my psychiatrist is happy to receive his 25 quid a month for just for him to write the prescription. Right? Yeah. He's happy with that. He's happy that I pay him 120 quid or whatever it is a month for 220, might be 220 for my 20-minute consultation for him to say, yeah, you're all right to have them. And the pharmacy's happy to go. Yeah, it makes me laugh actually every time I go to the pharmacy and you give them you have a pink slip, don't you, if it's private in the UK, and they always go, oh, and they price it up and they go, oh, you do know this is expensive. Well, yes, but what would you want me to do? Like, you're going to give me a discount? Like, So they're happy to take extortionate money, but I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I can afford to do that. But it stinks. It really stinks that there are so many people who can't, and then they just can't get their meds. It really stinks.
The thing is, I've heard stories of obviously people not being able to get the meds and all that. And we had a little bit of a hiccup, but nothing major. I can still get them. But for them to say you can't get the meds in your area is your doctor just has to okay the prescription and send it to whatever pharmacy you want it to. My second prescription, I was in Norfolk.
Yeah.
Don't live in Norfolk. My parents live in Norfolk. I was in Norfolk and I asked them to send it there, do it there, and we'll get it all sorted. It's done. Yeah. No problem at all. I'll get it then. And that's, there you go. And then I came back and it's all good.
So my doctor said to me that it was our local authority had told the doctors they weren't allowed to take on any additional prescriptions for ADHD until the medication issue had been resolved. So it's not my doctor saying no; they're being told by our local NHS that.
What difference would that make, though?
I guess they're just not, from their perspective, they're just not adding more people to the load. So people have been newly diagnosed for ways like, I love you too, matey. Listen, Daddy's working, okay?
Okay.
I'll come back, I'll come and see you in a minute before bed.
Okay.
Okay. That's a way to make me lose my train of thought.
There you go.
Oh, so for people, for example, who've done Right to Choose, it's making sure that not making sure, that's probably the wrong word, but there's so many people going that route at the moment. the NHS are concerned about being over flooded. I guess right with these things, and so it's like, don't take any more on, and I'd be classed as taking a new one on, even though it just stinks. The whole thing
It
stinks.
does.
And there's a guy who I speak to on TikTok in Spain who's got ADHD, and we were talking about the meds crisis. There's never been a problem here. So this whole notion that it's worldwide. It's like, I pay €40 a month, and there's no talk here about us. I'm struggling. Because I had heard, and again, these rumours, that it's actually Brexit related, because they're made in
Okay.
Republican Island of Germany. So the red tape and everything that has to go through to then get medication into the UK from the EU is a substantial slowdown on what it is. Whether how true that is, I don't think we'll ever know. But from people I have spoken to outside of the UK, there's no talk of medication shortages. Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult, and you've got to feel for a lot of people at the moment.
Yeah.
Like I say, it stinks that just because I could put my hands on some money that I can get them. It's just not right. It's not right at all.
Yeah. I think even the right to choose thing is I don't know, a bit flawed or kind of like overrun with people doing it, because there's a lot of people I've spoken to online who have like had the assessment and they've been waiting 8 or 9 months to start their titration.
Yeah.
I did mine within, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It's like,
I think mine was all done in a month. Yeah, end to end.
Yeah.
Really done, mate.
So it's crazy.
But again, it stinks, doesn't it? Because like, right, I think mine was £1,250 for my assessment. I think something around that figure.
Yeah.
But again, it stinks because I can put my hands on money. Like, it's not right. It fundamentally leaves a very sour taste. And again, going a full loop around for all those people who leave negative comments on people who do content around ADHD, you don't realise how many people it actually helps, because there's so many people who are just stuck because they're not in a fortunate position to be able to find £1,000-2,000 to get diagnosed. The NHS won't talk to them to help them get answers. They can't get therapy on the NHS. There is nowhere for them to learn. So again, what do you expect those people to do? They're looking for answers that they can't get via the routes that they're told are the trusted ones.
Yeah.
So again, yeah, is there a lot of content online that's a load of rubbish? Yeah, there is. But that's about anything, not just ADHD.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So there's a lot of really good ADHD content people out there.
Absolutely.
They are helping a lot of people
who
can't get the help that they deserve.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a lot of stuff, and I find that community, the neurodivergent community, if you want to call it that, is very welcoming and supportive.
Yeah, of course.
Even though they haven't lived your journey or your life, they listen and understand, where for, I guess, a lot of neurotypical people, they can't. So it's a very welcoming community, what I've seen so far.
I think there's probably a little bit of jealousy as well, in a sense of we live in a very unsettling time where it feels like we're trying to be divided. And there's a lot of people who probably are looking to be in a community of some sort. A lot of people who do feel left out and isolated. So there's probably some subconscious, maybe not jealousy is the right word, but envy that these people who are finding other people like them and are able to communicate, connect with people who think the same, and you can talk openly about that sort of thing. And maybe they're just lost people and looking for answers for something else themselves. And again, it's very easy to just think, oh, they're a keyboard warrior or whatever, and actually they're probably pretty lonely, and
everyone's got a story,
looking for someone to go, hold up, I want to be part of something, please. I want to be part of all the people who wear red jumpers every day, whatever that thing is, right? And
Yeah.
we are so welcoming because we have something in common. It's what people look for, and as we've just said, there's so many people who are deserving of answers and can't get them.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, the community is quite welcoming because a lot of us have been where those people are and know how difficult it is to get answers. And there's everything in between. We've spoken about it before. There's great people in the women's space. There's great people about ADHD adults, ADHD kids, people in the LGBTQ community, people in men's community, older community, and we've now got sub communities because everybody's looking for somebody who they feel like, oh, he looks a bit like me, his life looks a bit like mine, and he's had the similar struggles to me. That's
Yeah.
what I need, or her, or that their child, or I'm a parent with a child. It's great, and there are very good sides to social media, and don't forget
Oh,
as well, for a lot of
absolutely.
people, it's not easy to put yourself out there every day and share your story. And again, it's like, oh, you're just doing this for sympathy. Well, yeah, some people do want sympathy, and there's nothing wrong with it. Some people are crying for a bit of help. If someone to go, do you know what? It's all right.
Yeah.
Nothing like,
Yeah.
why is there a problem looking for sympathy? How dare you look to make yourself better? Why? People need a
I never,
cuddle. Like, people
I
need
never,
you know what I mean? It's nothing wrong with it.
yeah. Yeah. I never looked at it that way, to be fair. But yeah, you're right. People, life, not just for people with ADHD or whatever like that.
Every,
People can be rubbish for a lot of people. And
yeah.
yeah, just to have some sort of positive feedback, some recognition of what you've gone through, a virtual hug,
Yeah.
something, it can mean a lot to a lot of people. So
There's a lot of lonely people. Who else are they going to get it from?
yeah, yeah,
So again, I just live in a world where people are very quick to judge and create division. But again, as you mentioned, that's where a lot of the ADHD online community is so good because there's a shared struggle that a lot of us have been through, and it's like, well, we're on here doing the content to try and help you, so we're not going to be
yeah,
exclusive because that's
yeah,
not why we're doing it.
yeah.
And
We,
again,
we, we know everyone's got a story. Everyone's
exactly,
got whatever it is.
that's
You
the
know,
best thing about life. Whether it's a good story or a bad story, everyone's got one, and um, you know, everybody in life makes mistakes. Actually, if everybody shared their mistakes a little bit more, most people would make less ones. Because people have done.
yeah, yeah.
Have you taken 4 of your Elvan's tablets by mistake in one day? Let me tell you, you're not going to feel very well. Right, I won't do that. Wait. Do you know what I mean? Okay, taking 4 doesn't make me even more focused. Right, okay, but it actually leaves me off. Okay, won't do that. No, being a
Yeah,
bit
it's not so
jovial.
good.
You know,
But yeah, it's
that's good.
it's I think it's quite it's sad. It's shocking. It's terrifying in some ways for the younger generation. Sometimes it can look really bleak, but sharing your story, talking and listening, and seeing what other people have been going through and what they've done, correctly or incorrectly.
Yeah.
Knowing other people's stories, it helps.
Yeah,
It
massively.
helps.
Even from a fiction point of view, right? The best books, the best films, the best sports teams, whatever it is, it's all told in a story.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like him. I'm a huge fan of Tyson Fury,
Okay.
just because he's somebody who, when you read his story, I can really relate to. Not in the sense of he's a boxing world champion or anything like that, but
Yeah.
the fact that he has got ADHD, and I don't know if you've watched his documentary, but there's points of like where he's at one of his children's christenings, and he just can't cope anymore. So he just leaves. He's like, I'm going. I can't. I'm going, and he goes and walks the dog. And the amount of times I've done that, like I'm in a social situation, normally with family, and I'm just like, I've had enough of this. I can't cope. I'm out. And I've just gone. Or again, where we go back to that addiction of the chase. When you read about his depression, it was all of that thing of he dedicated all of his life to becoming heavyweight champion of the world. And the second he'd done it, he realised, now what? Going back to where exactly we started the conversation.
Yeah.
He got to that point of, well, now what then? I've done it. I've got the belt. That enjoyment lasted an hour. But it's consumed so much of me for so long.
Yeah.
And I have this new divergent thing in me that I always need stimulation. I need dopamine. I need that thing. And because then he didn't have that addiction of the chase anymore, he turned to drink, to drugs. And he ended up in his addiction in that spiral. And then he only got off that when he was then, right, I'm going to get back on the chase and be an heavyweight champion of the world again. I fell to the bottom. Now I'm going to get back up and go and chase that thing that I chased before. So I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I relate to his mind so much. That yeah, he's someone I look up to quite a lot, particularly in the neurodivergent space. He's a bit more crazy than most of us, but he's someone that I do have a lot of admiration for. Because again, imagine how with our minds, imagine if you couldn't leave the house without someone taking your picture, or being that famous with all that money and having that to contend to on top. And again, I feel a lot of people are very easy to shoot him down because of how he is. But again, with how busy our brains are, and he has all of that, he can't even walk out of his house. That's someone asking for a photo, or someone going,
that's
AJ will beat you. Like, whatever it is. So, yeah, I've got a lot of admiration for him.
I can't just imagine that. My brain is always craving for silence, for not necessarily no noise, but it's like it's peace. I don't want to think of anything. I need to, well, so to speak. Yeah. I don't want pressure. I don't have to answer questions. I don't have to figure anything out. I just want to drive my car the full way on the M6 with no other cars on it. Just let my head go and just that's what my head is striving for. And if I can't get that, so the people asking questions and take a photo, you can't calm yourself. Nightmare.
Yeah. So, someone I've got a lot of admiration for, and I just see a lot of my wife watched the first episode. She watched it before me, and she was like, "You need to watch this. It's like living with you." That's what she said, and and the big thing for me now is I'm on this journey. The big thing for me is creating a better, more stable life for my wife and kids, and then helping other men do the same. So I've actually got a mission to help 100,000 men in the 30s and 40s with ADHD create sustained success in their life whilst managing ADHD. And success, because success is subjective, right? That could be success in making money. It could be success in, I don't know, mowing the lawn 3 times a week. I don't know. Or for a lot of ultimate success of happiness at home with your family. And so
That's me. That's me.
And I'm on that journey myself, and I want to share my journey and help others do the same.
Awesome. Dude, you're an interesting guy. This is a hell of a story, and I think it's brilliant what you're doing.
Well, I haven't
And
told you stories about like when I snuck into Downing Street. Yeah, forever. That's another one for another time. Oh, honestly, some of the things.
Yes, let's talk again about that.
Yeah.
You did. I think it was you. You do send an email out to people, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only a very small mailing list at the moment, but again,
Okay.
it's just me documenting bits about my journey and how I've overcome things, and again, whether that's one person or a million people, as long as it gives some help to somebody. And again, it's a little. I'm really proud of myself. I think I've only swore once on it. I'm a big swear. I really try not to. So, it's just a bit of a no BS approach to. I am a bit of a. I don't know if alpha male's the right word anymore. I don't even know what that term is. I guess masculine. I don't know, but I'm a little bit of that straight talking as well.
Yeah.
At times, in a sense of we can't use ADHD as an excuse. I'm quite strong on that in a sense of there's a lot of content out there now to get the help. And that thing of we know there's lots of natural things as well for dopamine, ice baths, all that sort of stuff. They're proven to work. There's lots of scientific things there, but it's like losing weight, right? Everybody in the world knows how to lose weight. You exercise more, you eat more healthily, and you do that consistently. That's hard work, right?
Yeah.
With things like ADHD, you can do meds, you can do the things like the ice baths, you can lock your phone away in a safe that you haven't got a key to, or one that only opens at certain hours. Well, all these things that you can do. Are they a absolute golden ticket to clearing your mind and being rid of ADHD? No, of course they're not. But are there lots of little things that you can do that can improve things day to day? Yes. Do we all do them? Do I do them? No. But that's why I can't sit behind as an excuse, because there are the things there. And it's like when people want to lose weight. I really want to lose weight. Well, do you? Because you know what to do. But like I joked when I was sat on the toilet, we choose scrolling through TikTok or whatever it is. So again, my emails are things that don't come from a pretentious point of perfectionism, because I'm guilty of not doing the things. But and so sometimes it is me being critical of me, as in that sense of rushing, your screen time this week's 9 hours a day. What the bloody hell are you doing? Again, we all know exercise works better. I have a coach, right, and paid quite a lot of money for him, and I'd stopped doing my exercise. So 2 weeks over Christmas, I had to send him a picture of me doing my exercise between 6 and 7 in the morning. I also had to pay him £1,000. And even on Christmas Day, I made sure, well, as soon as there's £1,000 on the table, Christmas Day, I was up 6 in the morning sending him pictures of. And so again, we can do it.
Yeah.
We can. ADHD, does it make those things harder? Yes. Yes, it does. Undeniable. Harder doesn't mean impossible. And whether you need somebody to say, grand, if you don't do the thing, it's very quickly you can focus on something when there's £1,000 on the table, whatever you need to make up your mind quickly, very quickly, when there's £1,000 on the table, if you're going to do the thing or not. So I do have that straight talking element as well. It's like you say you can't do that thing. Like I'm quite into psychology and philosophy and things as well, and there's a lot of psychology about the word yet. Very simple word. If you say to me, I can't run a mile. That's a very fixed mindset. I cannot
Yeah.
run a mile, full stop. If you add the word yet to the end of that sentence, I can't run a mile yet. There's actually a lot of, I don't know the proper terminology, there's a lot of science in the brain that because of you adding the word yet, it actually opens up your brain to the possibility that that could happen one day. And so with our ADHD, we have to be very mindful of those things. I can't do that because I've got ADHD. I can't focus because I've got ADHD. I can't prioritize because I've got ADHD. No, you can. It's a struggle. It's not easy, and you might not be able to do those things yet, and you might not be able to do them as good as somebody who hasn't got them ADHD. That doesn't mean you can't do them in a way that you can't find a way that works for you. And actually, when you look at our lives, we do a lot of those things. You've got a job, you're told what time to be there, and 9 times out of 10, you're there. You say, I need to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do some exercise. There isn't that dopamine thing for us to get up because there's not the fear, again, going now or not now, there's not the fear associated to the dopamine rush of not doing the thing until someone says, pay me $1,000 if you don't do it. And then, fully enough, that works. But so I am I guess my content is different in that sense of I'm a little bit more, and I'm harsh on myself though in the same way. Again, it's not preaching like I'm this perfect ADHD person. She say, yeah, you do it. Actually, a lot of it's telling myself, and by writing it down and sending it to others, or saying it on a reel or whatever it is, probably talking to myself the most of the time. But
well, it's got to be real. It's got to be real at the end of the day. You know, don't. I always say that if you, I think it's good to talk, but don't hype it up. Don't down talk it. Just say how it is. It's keep it real and understandable, and don't make it a movie or a sad story. It is what it is.
Yeah. But if it is sad, be sad.
Well, if
it's happy, if you've done something great, boast about it. If you need to be a bit regimental and shout at yourself, shout about it.
Do it.
People react to different ways of communication and things, and I'm just a little bit of a traditional guy in that sense, I guess, where
that's you.
I'm straight. That's me. I'm straight talking. Like I said to a lot earlier on, I unintentionally upset people. You can see why now, but that's like I say, you like me or you don't. That's just how I am. And one thing that I do think is important, we'll probably finish on this because I've taken loads more of your time. I don't think I've even answered any of your questions you sent me. This is a proper ADHD chat, right? So, but one thing I do want to say to anybody with ADHD is it is so important to be you, be authentic. I think because we feel different and think different, we have this desire to be like everybody else. There's a motto that I've always tried to live my life by, and it's be who you are, not who you're told to be. And do you know what? By not being yourself, you end up surrounding yourselves with people who like the pretend version of you. And you then don't like the real you because you're in a circle who don't know the real you. So you keep it. I think a lot of people in our community use the term mask. Do you know what? People will like you for you. Will it be the same people as today if you're not being the real you? Maybe not. But don't be afraid to be you. We live in a world where you can be you more than ever before. And that's from controversial people from your Andrew Tate to, your real good people like your Attenboroughs and stuff in the world, and your Mel Robinses in this world. But we live in a world where you can, by and large, be you. So don't be afraid of it, because once you're you, your circle becomes other people like you, and then you're feeling a much better place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. My circle is really close, and I say close, but really small, I should say.
Yeah.
Really small. Me, my wife, son, mum, dad. It's a family.
Same for me. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, same.
I don't need any more than that. They understand me. They're with me. They love me. I love them.
I can't cope any more than that. I don't need it.
This is it. Yeah. So, there we go.
Pleasure.
Ross, thank you, mate. Thank
Absolute
you.
pleasure, my friends.
So much. And what I can do, if you want, is I can put your email on the thingy so they can.
Yeah, put on the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just use my TikTok handle, people can get it from there.
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok and
Instagram
I'll do handles. That. I'll drop you a note with those, and then you can find the link from it there. Follow me on there. Watch me sitting on the toilet or whatever it is.
That made my day. That seriously made my day. That was brilliant.
Was you watching it on the toilet? That's the question.
I wasn't. It could have very well been. It could have been, because you are right. That I do that a lot.
We all do.
Well, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friends. Honestly, I've loved it, and absolute pleasure, and more than happy to ever do it again. That's if welcome back.
No, absolutely. This has been great. Right, well, that is it from us, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening, and hopefully, put in your comments, questions, and I'll get back to you. And always remember, be good, be kind, and you're not alone. Thank you.